It's my hope that all these political types can begin to work together, because at the end of the day, working class people in Alabama need political representation, and we don't have any.
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
You know, there's been a lot of news relating to the Alabama Democratic Party. Adam, you've been following it a little bit closer than I have. What's been going on over there?
Sure. So, the big news politically in Alabama is the congressional district map. For those of you who maybe are outside of Alabama or have missed it, Alabama will have a new congressional map for the 2024 elections. A district court found that Alabama's maps were unconstitutional, or they violated the Voting Rights Act. Essentially, they deprived African-American Alabamians of a second congressional district of their choosing. And so we're going to have a second congressional district that ostensibly will go to a black representative. And of course, that'll be a second seat for Democrats. Currently, there's only one Democratic seat in Congress for Alabama of our congressional districts. That is held by Representative Terry Sewell. She's the only black representative in Alabama. So all that is expected to change, which should be, of course, a big win for Alabama Democrats who desperately need such a win. They were totally destroyed in the 2022 elections, so much so that in many cases, the Libertarians actually had more candidates on the ballot than Democrats.
Statewide they did.
Statewide they did, and also on my ballot personally in Limestone County, I know that was the case, and certainly I'm not alone there. And that was just kind of a taste of what that election was all about, right? Over 60% of Alabamians did not even participate in the 2022 election, right? So there's a lot to be done there. The Alabama Democratic Party has been in the midst of infighting for years, and it has reached a new stage to kind of catch people up. Back in 2019, the Alabama Democratic Party amended its bylaws, and at that point expanded certain caucuses like the Youth Caucus, the LGBTQ Caucus, other minority caucuses in the party. This was opposed on some level by folks in the Alabama Democratic Conference, which is, the official black caucus of the Alabama Democratic Party, led by Joe Reed. And so there's been some back and forth over the past few years. A ally of Joe Reed, who is Randy Kelly, was elected back in 2022 under those bylaws, and pretty quickly went to work trying to change the bylaws. So in May of 2023, there was this really contentious meeting in Montgomery among all the folks in the Alabama Democratic Party, what they call the SDEC, the State Democratic Executive Committee. And folks actually, elect most of those. When you vote in a Democratic primary in the spring, you'll actually pick people to represent you in this body of the party. So in May, they had this contentious meeting. There were new bylaws that were adopted amid a controversial vote, a lot of allegations of this not being a free, fair election, free, fair vote. And the outcomes of it were the elimination of all these new caucuses that had grown up since 2019. And so folks took this to the DNC and challenged basically the legality of the new bylaws as well as their adoption. And it has gone through a hearing process. Both sides have gone back and forth. It was, my understanding, a 9-hour evidentiary hearing in Washington, D.C. at the DNC about this. So, yeah, you had the bylaws adopted in May. The challenge been going on all summer. I think it was this September when the 9-hour hearing was held in Washington. Both sides presented their point of view, and the DNC has ultimately ruled just in the last few weeks here with their resolution to this, supposedly. And so a couple of things that they established, first of all, according to the DNC, they argue that the chair of the Alabama Democratic Party, Randy Kelly, has not maintained a complete and accurate list of all the committee members during his tenure as chair. They argue that requisite notice of the meeting was not provided to a number of the committee members, including many of the at-large members of the diversity caucuses. Right, so people weren't informed properly of the meeting as required, and at the meeting, current SDEC leadership attempted to impose a $50 fee on at-large diversity caucus members without providing them with prior notice of the fee, or that failure to pay the fee could be grounds for removal from the SDEC.
Hey, 5 seconds. Just wanted to say that this is only possible because of our donors. If you want to see more of this, then consider donating yourself at tvlr.fm/donate.
And without a mechanism in place to allow these members to pay the fee once they were made aware of it, right? We spoke to someone on the show, I believe, who said that they tried to pay the $50 fine and were not allowed to. They were not made aware of it before the meeting. They showed up, were told, hey, basically you have to pay $50 to be allowed to vote and participate. They busted $50 out of their wallet and said, okay, well, tell me where to pay. And we're never even allowed to do that. And they did not get to vote. And they were, by all means, you know, a legitimate participant in these proceedings. So you had the $50 fee. And what the DNC also said is, had these members received proper notice of the meeting and the fee, more members of the SDEC may have been able to participate in the meeting, thereby altering the outcome of the bylaws amendment vote. Because it was a close vote, some argued that it was not an accurate vote, but at the very least, the DNC argues that had there been proper notice, had the fee been handled properly, bottom line, more people would have voted. More people would have been there, more people would have participated who were there, and that certainly could have changed the outcome. And finally, they say that the new 2023 bylaws conflict with the DNC charter and bylaws by denying certain diversity constituencies an equal opportunity to elect at-large members of their choice. Right? And so, for example, the LGBTQ caucus was dissolved by the state party, and instead the state party says, well, we can appoint people for you on your behalf, more or less, to a committee. That's not the same thing. And so the DNC has argued that there should be a resolution here. It's questionable how much authority they have to order such a resolution. Like, at the end of the day, you know, if folks just say, get lost, DNC, we're not going to do it, what can they do in exchange? I think there are things that they could do, but what are they willing to do is maybe the better question. So based on the commitments that the state party and the ADC as well made at the meeting, the DNC has ordered a new vote on the bylaws of the party, and they have also ordered that challengers be given an opportunity to review the proposed bylaws and provide comments before they are put to a vote. Something else that has to happen is that a accurate list of all the duly elected SDC members actually has to be prepared. That is pretty important to know who's actually eligible and supposed to be participating and voting. And so the membership list and the proposal for the bylaws must be submitted by November 28th. So just over a month from now, and a vote must be held on the compliant bylaws by February 1st, 2024. So it's going to be interesting to watch, you know, how this plays out. You know, there were statements from both sides more or less saying that they wanted to work together. They wanted to try to put some things behind them. There were some, I've seen other comments from other folks that makes me think that's not so likely. Obviously, this isn't the first time we've been down this road in terms of bylaw fights and squabbles over which faction is most influential in the party. So, it'll be interesting to watch. We'll see what happens November 28th. We'll see what happens February 1st. But at the end of the day, as I open this segment, the bottom line is that the Alabama Democratic Party was not and has not been a viable political party in this state for quite some time, outside of a few token areas that has been gerrymandered. And as you alluded to earlier with that segment about the UAW workers, a lot of the Democrats who are in office are in safe Democratic seats.
All of them.
Yeah,
Right?
basically all of them.
Is there a single Democrat in office in Alabama whose district is less than 70% Democratic voters?
I would have to confirm that, but I think you're right that the general trend is that these are not competitive seats, right? There are very few competitive seats in Alabama, period, right. Democratic or Republican. And so there's just a lot of need when you have over 60% of the population is not engaged in the political process, and there are good reasons why. That's a problem that we have to solve collectively. So it's my hope that all these political types can put some things aside, can begin to work together, because at the end of the day, working class people in Alabama need political representation, and we don't have any.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.